Okay, fellas, let's talk Slayer setups. So it's been a week since he's been released, and he still has a lot of development left to go, no doubt. So if you're watching this video in like 2029, when there's like 10-man side brackets being run for this game, it might not be super relevant. But for now, there has been some really disgusting stuff found, and I thought we would talk about that today. So let's get right into it. So first of all, let's talk about his left-right off of like OTG hits. So when you get close knockdowns like 2D, for example, you can actually OTG and then dash cancel close slash and get a left-right mix-up. And the way that you do that basically is you get cross up just by doing immediate dash cancel. And you can see I'm like varying between like plus 11 to plus 13. Here, I'll do it like as fast as possible this time. That was literally fully buffered, so plus 13. And I do have the frame bar here, so it's easier to visualize, but close slash is 7 startup and 6 active, which means that even if you do this as fast as possible, you get an auto-timed meaty close slash, which is really, really, really good. That is extremely strong. And again, you can left-right off of this. So the way that you do same side is just by delaying the dash cancel on the OTG. Take some practice, but it looks like this. And you won't be quite as close, but you still have time to meaty with your close slash. You're giving up some of your advantage just because you are doing the dash cancel later into the OTG, obviously. But it's not too difficult to get. And the reason why this is so disgustingly strong is because it's, again, very ambiguous for the person defending against it, but more importantly, you get a close slash starter as your mix-up, which is absolutely disgusting. No other character can reset like left-right you with a close slash starter, especially characters that are as high damage as Slayer. So like the damage adds up like crazy. I mean, you can just see what happens when you're right on like one mix-up, for example. Like their health bar just absolutely disintegrates, and you can set up this left-right off of so many different things. And there's even more that you can do with this actually than meets the eye. So for example, their eye did a meaty P Dandy S, which is of course an overhead, and because the low hits on the same frame, of course that also works, as you can see. And while that isn't auto-timed, it's very easy to manually time. And those, of course, give you great combos on counter hit, and on normal hit, you can RC and get nice combos as well. And this is really nice for the corner because, of course, you can't threaten the left-right off of close slash OTG dash cancel in the corner. You can't cross up if they're directly in the corner. However, you do get really nice, easy confirm loop combos in the corner that have been found with the back dash attack, the back shots. Let me show that real quick. Yeah, so that's obviously really, really good, and that is super confirmable, by the way. I was doing like a late PRC just as an example here, but yeah, very confirmable. Very, very confirmable. And even if you mess up, you know, you're still going to get the well spot like that. So it's really, really good. And obviously that setup is great for the corner. You also get a safe jump here, which is pretty nice. Again, you can see the active frames overlapping with his first few wake up frames there. So that is in fact a safe jump. I blocked his 9-frame reversal, and that's also pretty strong in the corner. And of course this overlaps with the tech that we went over in the other video, because you can threaten the Kara Bite right here, and that's really good. Even on FD, you can threaten the Kara Bite, which is excellent, needless to say. I mean, Bite in the corner is really, really strong. Mid-screen, not quite as much, but on that note, let's take a look at another setup. The Oki on mid-screen Bite is honestly not that good. You can see how far back they go, and you're actually only plus 10. Even your far slash is 11 frames startup. And that will meaty, and it will catch some backdashes, but the combos can be kind of awkward, especially if it's an air hit. It's not all that good. Just ideally, we would want something better to do here. And if you have 50 meter, there is something better that you can do. So that's the setup right there. It's going to be a bite into a blue RC, frame kill with close slash 2H, and then you will gaplessly get your high-low mix-up, and it'll cross them up, which is kind of a nice add-on as well. And of course, because you have bite, you have universe counter, which means that you're going to get bombos off of that high-low right there. The conversion can be a little different than the ones in the other video I uploaded, just because the spacing can be awkward, but you do get very good conversions nonetheless, even simple stuff. And another reason why that is really, really good is because of the blue RC slowdown, you are DP safe. And you can see that I was in fact reversal safe there. Now, the only thing about this setup is that actually timing it fully properly is pretty difficult. So the way I recommend you practice this is definitely set the bot to wake up throw. That will make sure you're timing everything properly. The way I like to time this, by the way, is by looking at Slayer himself. And like when he can move forward, I hold forward after the bite. And like the frame I see him move, I try to input the dash BRC in order to make everything, you know, TP safe and not throwable, etc. But it's not that easy. I'll be real with you. It's not that easy. Now, there's more to the bite situation. Of course, the Oki here, like we showed, is not very good. You know, this kind of thing. You're very spaced afterward, and Dandy is interruptible, etc. Ideally, you would like something more, but generally, right? Generally, the opponent is going to be respecting this first hit. Like, there's no reason to mash here. This is a true meaty, and why risk DP? When the opponent has a universe counter, close slash punish, that is going to completely delete your HP, and their meaty slash pressure is not that good, there's really no reason to reversal. I mean, scrubs will do it, don't get me wrong. So, you know, it's not foolproof that the opponent is going to respect you here. But assuming they do respect you, there's another setup that I think is really good, and that involves Kara Dandy. So let's talk about Kara Dandy for a second. This input is really difficult. I'm on Hitbox, and I play Gold Lewis. And the reason why that's relevant is because some of these motions you can basically do as a behemoth, especially Mappa, because you can press dash and forward at the same time. Whereas on the Dandies, and what makes it more difficult, you have to be in neutral or forward, I guess, when you press dash. Otherwise, you're going to get a backdash because, of course, it's a quarter circle back input instead of a quarter circle forward. Now, the way I do it is kind of just one fell swoop. I just try to input it as fast as possible, basically. Just do a clean quarter circle, neutral dash, and then up and P. But the most important thing is, like, in your brain, for me, what makes me get it consistent is do the quarter circle as, like, a complete motion, and then do, like, a micro pause, and then dash, like, to make sure that you're going back to neutral. That's what kind of helps me get it the most often. For me personally. I mean, there are other ways of doing this. Like, for example, the way that I do bite is basically the same thing. Like, I always go back to neutral and then press dash. But some people do a semicircle and then dash. Like, they do another forward input and then dash and then up and H for bite. And I know stick users, for example, that's like, you have to do it that way, basically. And it is actually not that bad on stick. I tested this yesterday. I have a stick. I have a cross-up as well. And it's very easy on cross-up. But anyway, those are just the methods. But for Kara P Dandy, some people also do the same input as bite. Like, they'll do a half circle and then dash and then up and P, or even the semicircle and then forward dash and then up and P. This is just the way I do it. But anyway, all of that is just setup for what we're going to talk about next, which is bite into Kara Dandy. That's the setup. Now, it's probably going to take me a while to record actually hitting this. So I'll see you in a second because I'm going to edit all this out. Oh, I actually hit it, I don't know, third try? I swear. Not bad. But yeah, as you can see, this will cross up the opponent. And, of course, you can threaten the high-low with this. And that is very, very scary for them to deal with. Ideally, you need them to be respecting you because this is not a meaty at all, by any means. It's definitely very fake. But it's really good and very hard to see and very unexpected. So one thing that helps with this kind of setup is you can, like, buffer store your Karas, essentially. So you can see, like, during my... Here, I'll show bite as an example. So you can see I'm, like, storing the half circle buffer, right, during the recovery of another move. And this can make the timing a lot more lenient, right? And that also works for, of course, Dandy. Like, you can store the buffer of the quarter circle. You get the idea? And this is, of course, very, very useful, because for that setup that I just showed you, you can do the same kind of thing. Like, you can basically buffer, in a sense, your Kara P Dandy after the bite, and that makes it a lot easier, but the timing is so awkward on that. I definitely recommend practicing that, by the way, because it's a nice way to get both your Kara bite reps in and your Kara Dandy reps in at the same time. That kind of thing. That is really difficult. Believe me, that took a lot of tries. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And I have very good execution too. And that still took a while. But anyway, that setup is very strong as well. And I just wanted to show it. Let's move on to the next one. Oh, and I guess while we're at it, I will show one other thing. This is burst safe. So because you have to get hit to be able to burst after a throw, and FRC isn't a hit. Normal RC waves do count as hit. FRC doesn't. This is completely burst safe. Same with normal throw, of course, but you have to delay your P a little bit after the Dandy step. But yeah, that's really strong, having a burst safe wall break like that off of throw. Just thought I'd mention it. This is, of course, very, very strong as well. It's something that is really good. And you can even side swap if you do like P Mappa, if you're kind of close to corner with bite, and that'll combo, of course. And yeah, that's excellent. Thought it was worth mentioning while we're on the topic of bite stuff as well. So it's become apparent that pressuring with far slash daggers and 2H frame traps is really, really good. 2H in particular, this button is disgusting. So I'll just turn on hitboxes for a second here. And yeah, this thing is huge, huge and disjointed. It'll even eat some pokes that are like not lows as well. And it's really, really strong. Now it's also a level 4 normal. It's easy to hit confirm. And you get a disgusting bombo on counter hit, of course. From my video, for example, you get this round start wall break, which is really disgusting, of course. But the only issue with this is that ideally, you really, really, really do not want to go into P Dandy on block on 2H. This is a bad situation, especially in the corner. I mean, it's going to work from time to time. Like, you can catch people off guard, sure, but a good player is going to react to this. And there is like OSable defense against Dandy Step if you react in telegraph situations. Way easier said than done, of course, to do it all the time. But in a spot like this, you don't want to take that risk if you're running offense as Slayer. But you also want to be staggering with like far slash, like 5k kind of thing. And you just want to be thinking about confirming your 2H as little as possible. Rather, you would want to confirm it with as little effort as possible, is the way that I should have put that. And fortunately, there is a way around it, sort of, that is useful, that I thought I'd mention. And that is, of course, counter hit stop OS. Same concept as Gold Lewis in many of my other videos. But the idea is you input a 2H and then 236p, 214p. And during the slowdown of counter hit, your input will get overridden for the Mappa, and you'll get the P Dandy instead. And you can confirm. But on block and normal hit, you'll get this P Mappa, which is very good in its own right. Like, you're -1 here, and you can play like a little mini RPS here. You know, you can, if you're spaced here, for example, you're out of range of most 5 frames in the game, you can threaten like K Dandy stuff. And, you know, if you get a whiff punish with Pile Bunker in the corner, they're wall splatted. That's really good. If they're respecting you, or if they jump, you know, you can go for the overhead and be super plus if they block in the air, etc., etc. Yeah, you can threaten another 2H to crush lows and that kind of thing, and that's very high reward. This is just really a good situation for you on block overall. And on normal hit, of course, it combos. And so this is just a really strong OS. And I'll show you, like, if I set the counter hit to random. You know, you get the idea, right? And just check my inputs in the replay there if you want, but I did the same input both times, and I got the OS easily. It's actually very, very, very generous to do. Not hard at all, but definitely worth doing. And there are other ways that you can implement this OS. For example, if you want to do close slash far slash on block or normal hit, but charge dust on counter hit, you can do the same thing where you do like SS versus S, hold D. And that is good for the left right that we mentioned before, right? Let's see if I can get a normal hit here. And you can see that's exactly what I did. I did SS and then I held D, and on counter hit I got a charge dust. And that's great because that's optimal. And sometimes people are going to be mashing there, or you're going to be crossing up DP inputs because that is a left right. And so that's also relevant. You know, there are other kinds of ways that this OS can be implemented, of course, but those are like the big ones on Slayer. A shout out to SSF for kind of making this more prominently known. All characters can do something like this, by the way, but it is particularly good on Slayer because his post PMAPA RPS is very, very good. And especially if you're spaced, you're almost like at an advantage practically. Your offense is not over by any means. So it's also strong. Also, quick side note I thought I'd throw in. I showed this at the beginning, but there is a nice way to auto space getting the sweet spot of your super. And that is, of course, with this combo. You basically just route into far slash, close slash, far slash, 5H super. And it does a ton of damage. A absolute ton of damage. And it's just disgusting from how far it'll wall break. And even, you know, where it won't wall break, you'll still put them in the corner from across the screen and be super plus, which is just so stupid. I'm not gonna lie, this is like ridiculously strong that he can do this. And this probably needs to be used more. Of course, you can also route into your other super if you happen to build the meter during this. And needless to say, also does disgusting damage. So yeah, this is pretty good. Definitely pretty good. By the way, for getting this link, the number one thing I've found for consistency, which I guess like Street Fighter players will be more used to, is don't mash. Like for links, you do not want to mash. You want to just time the hit. You can see like I'm only pressing each button once. Only press each button once. Makes it so much easier than trying to mash it out. You kind of have to get used to the timing, but it's really not that bad. That is the most important thing. And that's also important for like far slash 5K, because this is a one frame in air quotes because the buffer window is pretty generous. But it's still best to not mash, even though you can buffer. One frame link in air quotes because this is +7 on hit and 5K is 7 frame startup, but it is a really easy link. And this is great because, of course, you can go into your left right. And just like before, route into your double hit super off of your mix-up. Everything kind of comes together with these techniques I'm showing you. I realized before, by the way, I was saying pieces of tech, like it's like technology, but it's like techniques, you know? Anyway, so we've shown that you can like Kara out of this dash, right? Something else that you can do is Kara super out of this dash. So you do your semicircle, forward, dash, up, and then S. Right? And the reason why this is really, really strong is if you PRC this, you have a ridiculous amount of invuln. I think the most in the game, not 100% sure, but it's like double-digit numbers of invuln frames, which is just absolutely crazy. Like for Wake Up Super PRC. Like that kind of thing is really, really good. You're going to have to practice the inputs a little bit, but it's very strong, and it's a lot better than his regular Super PRC, which is also good, by the way, because there's a lot of invuln on this Super. But that is the optimal way to Super PRC, and that's going to be pretty important in the future. It's disgusting if you can do it consistently. It's actually a disgusting defensive option, even though his defense overall is pretty weak. That is one thing that is amazing.